Raiders and Bulldogs tonight down in Gainesville. First pitch at 6:30. It's 57 degrees at 12 o'clock. Time in temp brought to you by Bueller Air and Plumbing. Stay cooler with Bueller.
1010XL is presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Now, get ready to spend the next 2 hours with our three sports-loving ladies. Mia O'Brien, Lauren Brooks, and Taylor Dahl.
This is Helmets and Heels
on 1010XL.
Show me what you got, pretty lady.
Welcome into Helmets and Heels. It is going to be a fantastic day 2 of March Madness. I say that because I know at least my team plays today, so I'll have the nerves that I did not have yesterday coming up later. Tonight as Florida takes on Norfolk State. And we are live here at Big Dog's Family Sports Restaurant, 1330 Blanding Boulevard in Orange Park. And Mia, I know you're excited about the wings already.
I have been hearing for days.
Have you been fasting tonight?
I did. I had a protein shake this morning. I did get a good old boot camp workout in because I knew what I was up against. Although maybe I don't know because I've put out the bat signal because I've heard from way too many Heeligans in Clay County and beyond that these wings here at Big Dog are going to change my life. And so I am ready for it to live up to the hype and then some.
That's certainly a big statement. But, yeah, they've also got, in case you are not fasting for Lent, but in case you're not eating meat for Lent, they've also got amazing catfish nuggets. They've got pizzas. They've got fish sandwiches. They've got all sorts of stuff. Tons of TVs here, so we're certainly going to be locked into all the action that's happening today. And they also have happy hour from 4 to 7 every day with 2-for-1 drafts. So come on by Big Dog's Family Sports Restaurant here in Orange Park. Come say hello to us and the Heeligans that are already here.
Yeah, we already have some Heeligans. There's a lot of TVs in here, so that's always good. We already have, we're going to get the sound going for the games, too, and I know that's the vibe. I love when you walk into a sports restaurant, sports bar, whatever it is, and you're going to watch games, and you can actually hear the games. It just adds a level of something, even though sometimes you're trying to find which game that the sound's connected to.
You just got to keep your head on a swivel. Absolutely. All right, so I want to start our show today with a bet that began last week in earnest, and it certainly took a turn for the worse for one person last night. This has nothing to do with our show necessarily, other than, of course, it has to do with Taylor Dahl. But, Taylor, fill people in on this bet.
So after Thursday, Players' Championship, obviously, we were out there, did our show. We hung out. You and I, Lauren, were in a chalet eating, having a couple beverages, partaking, having a good time. Afterwards, I ended up going over to Casa Marina. There's a band that plays over there that I like. So I went out there to enjoy a little bit more of the night. And I ended up I sat down, and there was a guy sitting there. We just start chatting because that's who I am, and I will talk to whoever is sitting by me. So that was part of that. And we start having a conversation. As we're talking, his phone starts ringing. And just out of reaction, when a phone rings, you kind of glance down. So I glanced down, and the phone says Dabo Sweeney. And I was like, is that a funny joke? Or like, does he call a friend Dabo or what? And so it's a bigger man too, so I also was like, maybe he played football at some point because usually you can kind of connect those. And so he was like, hey, do you mind watching my drink? I'll be right back. I need to answer this. And I'm like, okay. So he goes outside, has like a 5-minute conversation, comes back in, and I'm like, was that did Dabo just call you? And he starts laughing. He's like, yeah, I used to play football at Clemson. My name's Eugene. We start having this whole conversation about Dabo Sweeney and the portal and NIL, and he's helping Dabo recruit a quarterback right now, or a tight end right now. And so that was what that whole conversation was about. This led to, at the time, Clemson was playing, and so I was just kind of messing with him to be a little mean, I guess, and I was cheering against Clemson at that point. Yes.
Yeah.
And so every time they'd miss a shot or something, turn over the ball, I'd be like, yeah. And he starts not actually getting mad, but kind of messing with me. So we're going back and forth. And he was like, who's your team? I was like, well, my team is not in this.
The women
may or may not make an appearance.
They're at 2 today.
Notre Dame's women's team. Yeah.
I was like, our men are at home. So that I was like, but our men football team were in the national championship at least. And he kind of at first rolled his eyes, and I was like, oh, Notre Dame. And he goes, actually, I think everybody in the country, aside from Ohio State fans, were probably rooting for Notre Dame in that game. So then that conversation led to, he's like, who do you have winning the whole thing? And I told him I'm not the biggest college basketball fan. The team I cover and closely enough right now are the Florida Gators, and I told him what I do. And so that turned into this whole conversation. But anyways, it led to a bet that I said Florida basketball would go farther in the tournament than Clemson, and so we did make this bet. So I just need Florida to win one game, technically. I would like more because they're also the winner of my bracket, so that would help me in multiple ways. But yeah, after one night, he immediately texted me when they were down. I don't even know, it was like 30 at one point, very early, and he texted me just with like the little eye emoji, and I wrote back, and I'm like, this doesn't look so good. But they made it a game. The end of that game was honestly
too little, too late, though.
Perhaps the most exciting of any game
Definitely.
yesterday. Although I think if you were awake between the window of about 11:30 last night and 12 o'clock, there was a moment there where, oh my goodness, the thought of UNC Wilmington and UC San Diego both being winners was very much a reality, to the point that I was like, let's go, on my couch, and I looked to my left and Kevin had fallen asleep. And I was like, oh my goodness, this is day one. Come on, buckle up, buddy boy. Like, we got to be ready.
He's like, yeah, it's just day one.
A couple more days of this. Yeah, because he said at 10:30, he's like, I don't think today is going to be the day. And, I was listening to a couple of podcasts on the way here from the basketball world and the betting world, and they said usually if it's a pretty chalk day on day one, it tends to be a little more chaotic on day two. And so I think he probably took that approach of, it's all right, maybe tomorrow. And he was all in on Will Wade. So I think he was like, whatever, I already won the day. I've got McNeese State in the Sweet 16. Yeah. It's fine.
In the Sweet 16, he believed in them.
Yes, he did, despite the fact that I kept telling him and so many, like, no, they're gonna fail you again. As much as I love Will Wade too, and like I told the boys of Jags today, we definitely are going to want to relive some of the quotes from the post game yesterday from Willie the Kid, because my goodness, does it say about where we're headed in the world of college sports and transparency. But anywho, yes, there was a nice little window there of a half hour where we thought maybe, possibly. But outside of that, yes, the finish to the Clemson-McNeese
the Michigan game one ended pretty close too.
Well, that was in that same window. So that was when that was ending, and then it was the beginning of the second half of UNC Wilmington, Texas Tech, and it was like, oh my goodness.
You had a couple games that were getting exciting, and that's what Mia and I were texting about. I was like, Drake did it for Griff. They did it for the cute dog, and
I told everybody yesterday that the poor dog wouldn't be allowed at the until the Final Four if they make it that far. To circle back, Will Wade, for people who don't remember, was the head coach of LSU, and he lost his job because he was paying players, and the FBI had him actually saying, like, send that guy a big amount of cash. Literally send him a lot of money. And this was, of course, before NIL and pay for play and all those things. And so at the end of the day,
so now he's probably like, what the heck?
So, I was just right, but it's crazy because Will Wade, now the head coach of McNeese State, who did beat Clemson 69-67, he went to Clemson.
Yes.
Like, that's what, if you're not following closely, it's like, wait a minute.
Oh, the schedule makers have way too much fun. Like, look, and that's where, and certainly with my women's basketball podcast, my co-host Mitchell Northam of SB Nation, he's made the point multiple times. Like, as much as, yes, the sentiment, the sales pitch is no, this is based off of our criteria and who we believe the best 68 teams are.
Sure.
If you get a storyline, oh well. Like, you tell me on the women's side, UNC and Duke meeting potentially in the Sweet 16, like, oh, they weren't thinking about that. Like, they're not thinking about Rick Pitino and John Calipari now meeting in the round of 32 on Saturday night in prime time. Like, they are absolutely thinking about those storylines. And so Willie the Kid facing his alma mater, yes. And also, of course, his line of, my players know I will never schedule practice during Clemson football games. He was playing all the right hits, and his team played all the right hits in terms of schematically executing, especially in that first half, a 31-13 lead at the intermission. Things got a little wonky in the second half.
Yeah.
I think the most disappointing storyline of all of our favorite characters, ladies, in this NCAA tournament, Ian Shefflin, who I have affectionately referred to as not only the chef, which is what most of the basketball community calls him, but Josh Gad's long-lost twin brother. 1 point yesterday, the senior leader for Clemson, and I think just wasn't his day, and that's what this tournament is all about on both sides, the men and the women. It doesn't matter if you're an All-American or an All-ACC player. If you have a bad day, if your team has one bad half like Clemson's did, because they did technically win the second half 52-38.
But they only scored 13 points in the first half.
Correct. And so
that's hard to do,
that
honestly.
Is almost an impressive.
It's like Georgia scoring 3 in the first.
But I think that again, and I think that's and look, like this Will Wade McNeese State team, which again you'll get to see on Saturday night now against Purdue. Like this is a team that is built on transfers. It's built on athleticism. But in terms of picking Cinderellas, I think that you have to look at these mid-majors that are chock full of transfers and are just going to overpower you in terms of their athleticism, which is what McNeese State did against a Clemson team that is kind of built like a mid-major in that it's 4-year college players, guys who've been there for a while.
Yeah.
But again, they are college players. They are not projected necessarily to compete at the next level and to make it to the league. And then on the flip side of that, you do have Drake, which is the team that has, by 100 possessions, they have the most points scored when running the shot clock down below 5 seconds. And it's the ultimate time of possession game. We talk about it in football so much. Never have seen it in basketball quite like what is being executed in Wichita this weekend and in Des Moines this year under Ben McCollum. But that is a way to find a way if you are a mid-major, because you're going up against these teams like Mizzou, who they jump out of the gym. Dennis Gates placed such an emphasis on going into the portal and finding guys who not only could overpower you with their athleticism, but they could get up and down the court and get after it on offense in a high-speed offensive flow, which Drake just took them out of that. And they played Drake's game.
Yeah. Did you see all of the guys?
Did you finish the story about the bet?
Oh, yeah. We
I think
to finish
so.
the story about the bet because
who has to pay what, assuming that Florida wins tonight and Clemson's already out.
Especially because 641 on the text line says a Taylor Dahl love story being written now before our eyes and ears.
He's an older man. He played at Clemson in like 2000, so he's like, I don't even know.
Not that old.
Yeah, but still a decent amount old. I graduated high school in 2009, and he was in finishing college in 2000, 2001, so that's a
Too
good
old
gap.
for you,
Yeah.
but just
Maybe
saying that's not old.
But everybody's reaction was like, oh, is this how you find like your future husband? I'm like, well, no. And then his name, never mind. But did you guys see the fans behind the Drake bench all dressed as Ben McCollum too?
Yes.
That was hilarious to me. That's why this time of year and college football in general, college athletics are so fun, because you take all of those little things. And we talked about the McNeese is the one where the cheerleaders had the socks. Is that the Aura
with
kid?
Aura,
yes.
yes. Amir Khan, the first student manager to have an NIL deal. He carries out a boombox to every game. They've now started putting signage. They've got a B-Dubs logo on the boombox. It started with what's it called? The ticket website? TickPix. TickPix, yeah. It started with them. They were the first. Now we've got Insomnia Cookies.
He has multiple.
Oh, he has like 5 now.
Wow.
And there's probably more coming with every game McNeese State wins.
Wow. Yeah, that was, but little things like that are what make college athletics so fun, because the kids, the student athletes and the students that go and watch these games feed so much into these little quirks that they know about their school. And then in moments like this, those things get to shine that you would have never known about. You wouldn't have known about Aura Kid if it wasn't for McNeese winning yesterday.
Yeah, I do have to wonder how many people, when they root for Cinderellas, are pulling for Norfolk State tonight against Florida. Obviously, Florida being a behemoth when it comes to a number 1 seed, but also the history of Florida basketball since the year 2000.
And I think if you don't have a team in the tournament, then you do like to see the big upsets. That's the funnest part of March Madness if you don't have a rooting interest.
Yeah, the Loyola of Chicago type teams that people can get invested in. All right, so the first game today tipping off in just about 4 minutes. Baylor Bears taking on the Mississippi State Bulldogs. That's an 8-9 game, so that'll be a lot of fun. And then following up that at 12:40, Robert Morris taking on Alabama. Robert Morris, I'm pretty sure, beat Florida a couple years ago.
Yes.
Yeah.
Or they beat Duke.
They beat Ohio State, and then I think they beat Florida. Isn't that the same Robert Morris that I'm thinking of?
I think so.
I'll do some research.
Yeah,
but we are live here at Big Dogs Family Sports Restaurant. Find us at 1330 Blanding Boulevard in Orange Park, just south of Night Box Road. And certainly we're going to be ordering up tons of great food and also watching tons of great college basketball. You're listening to Helmets and Heels on 1010XL 92.5 FM.
Catch the draft and accelerate to the checkered flag. This Sunday at Miami. NASCAR is tuned up by Maxie's Mechanics on 1010XL.
Value or flavor? Price or taste? Why choose when you can get both with everyday deals at Sunny's? Right now, you can get the pork big deal for $10, the pork and rib combo for $12, and all you can eat ribs for just $19.99. Yep, you heard right. All your favorites are now available all day, every day And that's why it's always Sonny's here. Sonny's Barbecue. Local pitmaster since 68.
Oh, yeah, that one is
Mia here. Summer is just around the corner. Is your air conditioning unit ready to handle the heat? There is one way to find out, and it doesn't cost you a penny. My friends at Duck Duck Air Conditioning are hooking up all 1010XL listeners with a free inspection. Give them a call to schedule now, 904-862-6769. And if you need any repairs, they'll provide a free estimate to ensure your system is ready for that Florida heat. Call Duck Duck Air Conditioning at 904-862-6769 and be sure to tell them you want the free AC inspection you heard about on 1010XL.
The Jacksonville Icemen have punched their ticket to the Kelly Cup playoffs in April. But first, the Icemen have some regular season business to take care of as they host the South Carolina Stingrays this Saturday for a possible playoff preview. Saturday is Hockey for Everyone night at ViStar Veterans Memorial Arena. Puck drops at 7. Get tickets at Ticketmaster, JacksIceman.com, or call 904-602-PUCK. 904-602-PUCK. Iceman Hockey is #Frozen Frenzy.
Our slogan, Know Before You Blow, applies to more than just DUI cases. Hi, I'm attorney Lee Lockett of Lockett Law. Battery charges can result in jail time and criminal convictions too, so know before you blow a gasket and hit a loved one or a stranger. Drug crimes like possession of marijuana and cocaine will land you in cuffs too, so know before you blow. In a boating under the influence case, you also have the option to blow or not to blow. So know your options. Know before you blow. Go to knowbeforeyoublow.com now. Offices Jacksonville.
Get a healthy start in 2025. The Florida Department of Health in Duval County is here to encourage you to get healthy and stay healthy this year. They have a dedicated team who are committed to providing quality care. The goal is to protect, promote, and improve the health of you and your family. Visit duval.floridahealth.gov to learn more about their health programs and services. That's duval.floridahealth.gov.
At Performance Painting, we've spent decades protecting commercial properties with durable, long-lasting coatings. And we can bring the same expertise when painting the exterior of your home. With industry-leading materials and a proven process, we extend the life of your home, reducing maintenance costs and preserving its value. Now, for a limited time, save $500 when you hire us to paint your home's exterior. Just mention 1010XL. Go to performance-painting.com to schedule a friendly estimate. Performance Painting. Repair, protect, preserve.
Performance Painting.
Hey, Hicken here, or just call me Dreamfinders Danny. For a limited time to ring in the new year, Dreamfinders Homes is offering an amazing 4.99% fixed interest rate. Now's your chance to lock down that rate and get in the game. You heard me right. It's 4.99 fixed interest rate on select move-in ready homes. Visit dreamfindershomes.com for sales event information and get in the game. Interest rate available on select move-in ready homes. Restrictions and limitations apply. Go to dreamfindershomes.com for more details.
You can't go inside your home team's locker room, so Jags beat reporter Hayes Carline goes there for you.
Work on three, 1, 2, 3, 4. Hayes Carline here. Find my blog at 1010XL.com.
Brought to you by Roland Reach Plumbing, where quality and experience count.
Listen up, poker players. March is heating up at all 3 Best Bet locations. The Bad Beat jackpots are now uncapped, soaring to new heights. So don't miss your chance to win big. Plus, get in on the $42,000 weekend windfall, featuring $1,000 high hands every Friday and $500 high hands on Saturdays. And starting March 3rd, the Race to a Race promotion is back. For all the details, visit bestbetjacks.com. That's bestbetjacks.com.
The First Tee Tour Card is back for 2025 and better than ever, with access to over 15 of North Florida's best courses and new this year, local participating businesses. This card is your ticket to saving hundreds. First Tee North Florida is a local nonprofit who build character in youth participants through the game of golf. This annual fundraiser enables this amazing organization the ability to build game changers. Grab your tour card for just $99 at tourcard.org. for a list of participating partners, benefits, and restrictions.
I'm here with Danny Van Sickle, Director of the Electrical Training Alliance. Danny, tell me about your program.
Hey, Rick, we're a 4-year electrical apprenticeship. Our students start out making over $40,000 a year and right now make over $90,000 a year, including benefits. There is no tuition or student debt. You just have to apply and get accepted.
Did you say no tuition and no student debt?
You heard that right, Rick. Once you're accepted to the program, your only cost for the books and the course fees. About $800 a year.
That sounds like an amazing opportunity. How can I learn more?
Just go to etajax.org and you can apply there.
Apply by May 15th.
We're certainly facing interesting economic times. For me, it's comforting to know my money's in good hands with ITP Partners. Jacksonville guys taking care of my Jacksonville money. Experience? Yeah, that's Chris Bryan, Jeff Hartman, Reagan Wright, Dan Abel, Scott Regner, Janice Cobb, and Reed Wingate. They have the expertise and knowledge to take care of your money. For more info, go to itppartners.com. ITP Partners, they're my financial partners for life.
Non-compensated client testimonial may not be representative of all client experiences. No guarantee of future performance or success.
1010XL is presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville.
My granddaddy ranched down in East Tennessee. I guess that's where I got my need for speed.
The brand new Morgan Wallen song for you on this beautiful Friday as we're live here at Big Dog Family Sports Restaurant in Orange Park. You know the Orange Park people listen to some Morgan Wallen around here. He's got 2 new songs out today. This one and another one called Just In Case. I'll give you a quick overview of both just because I'm obsessed with lyrics. This one, basically, I'm crazy, but the world is insane. That's the punchline. And then the other song is so fun. The Just In Case one is he leaves his heart he doesn't ever fall in love, I should say, just in case the person that he's truly in love with comes back to him. Oh. So highly recommend them both.
A little sad.
But it's a great song. I think you'll love it.
I'll love it because I love him. But also I heard his album that's coming out is like 32 songs or something like that.
Usually
when Morgan does it, he goes
it's
hard.
like he writes for like 2 years, I feel like, and then he dumps a ton of new music, and so that's a lot of fun. By the way, they do have live music nights. They also have trivia on Tuesday nights, karaoke on Wednesday nights. They've got a jukebox. They've got a game room area here at Big Dog Family Sports Restaurant. So a ton of stuff to do here in Orange Park. All right, I said Robert Morris beat Florida a couple years ago. I was completely wrong. It's Oral Roberts. That's who beat Ohio State. And then Florida fans
I remember that.
Thought that, okay, good, they were going to have an easy road because they didn't have to face Ohio State, and instead then Florida lost also to Oral Roberts.
And I was joking because I was like, I remember that bracket so vividly because I remember filling it out, and it was in the same section. I believe it was Oral Roberts, and then Colgate also was in there, and I remember being like, why are all these like dental-related things in our March Madness bracket?
They're reminding you to floss your teeth, to brush your teeth, to do all the things. All right, we know, actually, he lives very near here. John Shipley, Jaguars beat reporter, he posted this earlier today, a very interesting scenario. If 2 quarterbacks go in the top 3 picks of the draft and the Patriots take an offensive tackle, because of course there are no really more offensive tackle free agents out there now that Cam Robinson's off the board, headed to the Texans, that means the Jaguars would be guaranteed one of the following: Abdul Carter, the pass rusher, Mason Graham, the defensive tackle, or Travis Hunter, of course, the wide receiver / cornerback. Who you got?
Yeah, it's honestly a very difficult question because I think that I don't know if I guess I'm going to approach this where I would choose rather than what I think maybe, because I don't know fully yet where James Gladstone and Liam Cohen's minds are and what they really think. I obviously think they are seeing a lot of issues with this roster, so any of these guys would be something they probably need. The Abdul Carter one is a fascinating story because I think that he is going to be a really, really, really good NFL player, and I think that what we saw, especially with him with one arm and what he was able to do in the run for the playoffs and the college football playoffs, is he's an amazing player, but I don't think that's one of your biggest needs. I do think you still need an edge, but I think that's something you could address a little later, unless there's something, and we've heard some rumors of maybe there's a trade, you trade Trayvon Walker and you get an Abdul. That's just things that have been
lovely
floating.
Internet rumors.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I've heard multiple people, I had Eric Eager, who we've had on this a lot, be like, it probably wouldn't be the worst idea, but I don't think that's something that they do. Mason Graham, I think that when we talk about the defensive line being a need, I do think it is a need. I don't know if what Mason Graham would immediately come in here and do is the biggest need. So to me, I would lean Travis Hunter in this scenario because I do think you're getting a player who we talk about can do multiple things. And to me, it's 2 positions. I still look at that corner room and I'm a little weary. And we talk about we don't know what Jarian Jones is going to be able to do on the outside in the NFL. We've seen him play really, at least pretty good last year when it came to that nickel corner spot. But now that looks like it's Jordan Lewis's spot. Tyson Campbell has struggled with injuries a lot. There's also been a lot of ups and downs of Tyson Campbell. So I think that to me, you're having somebody who can come in and be a really, really, really good corner. But then also when we talk about being able to get thrown into different wide receiver packages and having having that ability, it would be hard for me to pass up on Travis Hunter if he was sitting there.
I mean, it would be so fun, right? Like, what position is he going to play all through training camp? If they have him playing both positions, it gets people even more excited for the regular season. Like, definitely the splash player would be the Travis Hunter. Who you got, Mia?
Yeah. So, how about this? RJ, you know what time it is. Let's cue up a little Imagine here.
Imagine with Closets by Design.
Imagine your home totally organized.
Shout out to our friends at Closets by Design. Again, tons of great spring specials going on right now. Be sure to head on over to closetsbydesign.com and check them out. What have we heard James Gladstone consistently say since he arrived in Jacksonville at the end of February? We want to acquire as many picks as possible. Travis Hunter is undoubtedly a great talent. We haven't seen someone with this skill set, with, quite frankly, the stamina to play that many snaps in a single football game at altitude in ever, potentially. Abdul Carter, tantalizing talent as well. We've seen with Micah Parsons, certainly the trajectory of Penn State edge rushers who begin their career at the Mike linebacker position, move to the outside, and can be used as a pseudo chess piece, if you may, in the NFL. There are, as I've reported, certainly some teams who've had questions about the personality of Abdul Carter. Travis Hunter, I think, universally is viewed as a great ball player, great human being, on and off the field.
He'll trash talk, he'll do all of that, but he's still not have that reputation more of that an Abdul Carter.
I think, quite frankly, I think once Travis Hunter is free of the Deion Sanders, Shedeur Sanders circus, despite, of course, the fact that he considers himself an adopted member of that family, or at least a, unofficial member of that family, I don't think he'll ever be able to fully separate himself, but I do think that if the two end up in different cities, that'd be the best thing for the trajectory in terms of his image, because I think if you talk to players in the league, players who played with him in high school and college, they say he is as pure a ball player and competitor as there is. Now, I say all that and I say, imagine if one of them is there at 5. Because, in my estimation, no team is trading to 5 for a quarterback. I do not see it happening. I believe Cam Ward is going to go in those first 4 picks. With so many teams reportedly having a second-round grade on Shedeur Sanders, and the New York Giants, perhaps the most desperate of any team for a quarterback, picking ahead of the Jaguars, I don't see someone trading up to 5 for Shedeur, and I don't think Cam Ward will be there at this juncture, especially after Adam Schefter of ESPN's report earlier this week. And so I say, imagine this. If Carter or Travis Hunter are there, and if you're James Gladstone and you're in the business of acquiring picks, would you trade back to 7? Would you trade back to 8? Because unquestionably, you're going to get at least a second-round pick in this year's draft to go along with whatever else you get in that haul. I wouldn't go back all the way to 18, 20, 10, 12. Not that crazy. Would stay in the top 10. Still give yourself an opportunity to draft Mason Graham, to draft Will Campbell, Membu, whoever may be there.
You don't know if Mason Graham's there at 7. That's the hard part.
But here's the thing. If you only trade back 2 spots,
one of those 3 will still be there.
The Las Vegas Raiders have Christian Wilkins.
I mean, 2 of them, yeah. One.
They have Christian Wilkins.
Yeah.
The New York Jets have Quinnen Williams. That's perhaps as good an opportunity you can give yourself to assure that the player you want is still there and you acquire more capital in the process.
Yeah, I mean, I think it all depends how highly they think of those 3 players individually, because if you absolutely love one of them, you don't want to risk the chance of not getting them. And that's why I always make the comment, like kind of jokingly but not, about how Trent Baalke accidentally drafted Brian Thomas Jr. Because to me, if you are absolutely in love with a player, you don't take the chance of moving 2-3 spots back and him be gone, and then you take your next guy.
6.
You want to be able to get the guy that you absolutely love and think is going to come in, start right away, make the most impact, also fill a need. It's all of these things. And so I know he said that. I'm not the biggest fan of I don't care if you have 13 draft picks. I think that you need to get 5-6 guys that can start and that are going to change this roster.
Well, but
I've always been in that mindset.
If you get an extra second, you potentially are now getting an extra starter that you otherwise would not have had, because now you have the 36th pick and the 38th or 39th pick.
Yeah, maybe.
The only thing to me is I think the Jaguars want to draft Mason Graham. If that's the case, then moving out of that 5th spot, you still, like I said, you may not get him because yes, those teams behind you have those guys, But what if another team is also in love with Mason Graham and they trade up and they take him right out from, and again, that's what I think the Jaguars are wanting to go Mason Graham. I think they can get him with the 5th pick. I don't know for sure that once you move back, all bets are off.
Listen, Daniel Jeremiah has the Jaguars taking Jalen Walker, and while I think you need to figure out
I've seen several with that.
I think you need to figure out what you're doing with Devin Lloyd first, because I don't want to call them the same player because they're not, but certainly if you want to put Nolan Smith, Jalen Walker in the same conversation, I think that there's an argument to be made there because both played off-ball linebacker-ish at Georgia. Nolan Smith has obviously moved to more of a wide 9 edge rusher position with the Philadelphia Eagles, but that's because they had that luxury. I don't know if the Jaguars, if they were to draft Jalen Walker, would have that luxury, or does it become like the failed Isaiah Simmons project in Arizona, where you draft this, and that's where my biggest reservation there is, and that's
knocking Clemson again on this program.
Sorry, Dabo, I apologize. Brad Brownell, have fun being, or no, he won't be the next Indiana coach because Darian DeVries is. My thing with Jalen Walker is just that if he's a chess piece, I've seen too many, whether it's Simmons or Jabril Peppers, we'll bash Michigan instead, these chess pieces who come out and whatever ecosystem they end up in doesn't actually maximize the skill set or doesn't give them a specific focus to where they can actually succeed in the league. And
that's Caleb Chase on.
Correct. And, and that's honestly, quite frankly, I'm scarred because the Jaguars took a Sam linebacker at number 20 overall in the 2020 NFL draft and Caleb Chason, and it never panned out.
And now they're on their third general manager. Third general manager since that draft.
And then they took Devin Lloyd, who's essentially a Sam linebacker 2 years later.
They took 12 or 7 linebackers last year.
But to me, Abdul Carter's not the pick because of this conversation.
And that's where my mindset is. I was listening to Mike Dempsey and Tommy Mack talk this morning. Tommy Mack and Mike don't seem like they love Mason Graham, but they don't know if that is the best thing for the Jags. And Tommy's thing was that he thinks that he wants to see more out of Mason Smith. He believes that Mason Smith could have a ceiling close to a Chris Jones and be that type of player, and to give up on he feels like you'd be kind of already giving up, not totally, but you're pushing him back a little bit if you're taking someone high like Mason Graham. And he said he'd rather have
next to Mason
Smith. But he's saying Eric Armstead. So you already have Eric. So you're building, that's like a future thing. Yeah, which is not that old, but Eric's played in the wrong position last year. So he just thinks that you have an Eric Armstead and you have a Mason Smith, and then you go and you get somebody, whoever, let's say Travis Hunter, in this scenario, Travis Hunter at 5, and then he likes somebody like Kenneth Grant because he thinks they need a 1 tech more than they do that 3 tech type of guy. And so I do think that all of these things are what are going to be evaluated. But to me, out of those 3, it would be almost impossible for me to not take Travis Hunter at that spot. But I could make an argument for Mason Graham. That's been the conversation we've had a lot, obviously. But it's hard for me to pick Abdul Carter in that scenario.
I also don't know which position Travis Hunter's playing. Yeah. And I don't think, at least NFL people don't think that he can play both ways in the NFL. So which position do they evaluate him best at? Which position does he want to play?
Which I'd be fine with either, and that's part of my thing too.
Sure,
I think another wide receiver, I think this wide receiver room outside of BTJ is okay, and I think the corner room is okay. So to me, you're getting a player who's automatically upgrading either position that you need, that are needs.
I've just made it very known on this program and on so many. I think Jack Betch is the Cooper Kupp clone that the Jaguars crave, and as the buzz around him continues to swirl, but also knowing the Jaguars have other needs, that's why I'm in the camp of get that extra second-round pick that's in the 30s or 40s, because I don't think he's going to be there at 70, and so that's where I'm like, hey, if you could have 36 and 38 or 39, you can get, if you take Mason Graham, if he's there, if you trade back to 7 and he's there, well, now you've addressed defensive line, or if you take Membu, Will Campbell, you maybe get a little aggressive and you take Gray Zabel at 8 or 9, whatever you trade back to. But then you go get Kenneth Grant with the 36th pick, but then you get Jack Betch with the 38th or 39th pick. Then I think that's where all of a sudden, you tell me, Taylor, those are 3 starters. At the very least in 2 years, if not this upcoming season.
And I'm also curious if a team, let's say those 3 guys were available, what is a team looking at that and thinking? Because if they're like, okay, these are 3 guys that we'd all also want, we could trade to 6 and still get one of those and give up a little less. We would have to move up to 5 or move to 7 and still be able to get one of those 3 guys and not have to give up the capital you would for a top 5 pick. So I think all teams are going to be evaluating things like that. If those 3 guys are there at 5, I'm not sure anybody would totally reach up to the pick 5.
And again, this is the best case scenario because this is assuming 2 quarterbacks go in the top 3 and the Patriots go after an offensive tackle, which may not be the case because, as we know, the offensive tackles are not nearly as highly rated this year as they have been in prior years. But look, I love Jack Besh, and the family has gone through a lot. His brother Tiger was the one who lost his life, one of the many, in that New Orleans tragedy surrounding the college football national championship in New Orleans. But I do feel like maybe there's a connection because the brother's name was Tiger, and the Jaguars drafted a lot of, even though it's a different regime now, but they drafted a lot of LSU people. So maybe
we're trying to manifest out here.
Yeah, we can manifest.
We're manifesting.
A lot of things.
Some good conversation on the YouTube chat line right now. You guys can get in on the conversation if you're watching from home. If you're not headed out here to Big Dog to hang out with us, YouTube search 1010XL, top of the list. Click it. Leave a comment in the chat. Robert and Hef debating, and it's a really good point to make. And I think it's actually a conversation piece that, for lack of a better term, I think that Trent Baalke also tried to address, knowing the landscape during his time as general manager. Robert says, go with Mason Graham, expose the Texans and the Titans' biggest weaknesses, which is their offensive line. And I think that in the same vein, the reason that Trent Baalke at least said that he was focused on beefing up the defensive line. I don't think he's actually did that, but he would say that in drafting Trayvon Walker, who, quote-unquote, was a better run defender coming out of college than Aiden Hutchinson, and I think he has been, that he also addressed extending Devon Hamilton was because you have Jonathan Taylor. At the time, you had Derrick Henry in the division. Dameon Pierce looked like he was coming on. And so I think that, again, that's a great point by Robert because it is something that I think was referenced. I don't know if it was fully addressed with the previous regime, but it needs to be addressed with this one.
Yeah, what we don't know is what does this regime think of a guy in Devon Hamilton and a guy in Eric Armstead. If they don't love them, then they may say, yeah, we like Travis Hunter, and he's gonna be great in the league, but we have to have a defensive tackle if they don't like them. All right, we'll keep the NFL conversation going. Like Mia said, live here at Big Dog Sports Restaurant in Orange Park. It's 1010XL 92.5 FM.
Now, another March update, served up hot by Hurricane Grill and Wings and Florida Pest Control.
We kicked off possibly the greatest sports weekend that graces the calendar with 16 games yesterday. We've got 16 more coming today as we're on day 2 of the round of 64 in the NCAA tournament. In the first game of the day yesterday, 9-seed Creighton defeated the 8th-seeded Louisville Cardinals 89-75, which shattered 54% of brackets before game 2 was even complete. Then the marquee upsets yesterday were the 12-seed McNeese defeating 5-seed Clemson Tigers, 10 Arkansas over 7 Kansas, and 11 Drake dominating number 6 Missouri. And today we've got game 1 of the day underway officially as Mississippi State leads the Baylor Bears 15-14 with 11:57 to play in the first half. And then shortly after, Nate Oates will lead his 2nd-seeded Alabama Crimson Tide over 15-seed Robert Morris. I'm Max Fink with your NCAA tournament update.
Jags fans, here's your chance to score a trip to Green Bay for round 1 of draft night. Through the Everbank Draft Night Experience Sweepstakes, one lucky winner and a guest will be there live and in person to see the Jaguars make their first pick. To enter, visit everbank.com/draft by April 4th. That's everbank.com/draft. No purchase necessary to enter or win. Open to legal residents of the United States and D.C. 18 and older. Entry period from 3/3/25 to 4/4/25. For official rules, prize description, odds of winning, and other details, visit everbank.com/draft. Sponsor and administrator, Everbank N.A.
Lauren Brooks here. At Hodges Mazda, they are proud of their solid reputation in the Jacksonville community. As your hometown Mazda dealer, their high customer service standards and their huge inventory of new and used cars provide their customers a consistently first-rate car buying experience. Their professional, non-commissioned sales team put your best interests first without exception. And all new vehicle purchases include the Hodges Mazda Protection Package. Visit them today online at HodgesMazda.com or stop in to learn more and discover the Hodges Mazda difference.
Hey, Jacksonville, I'm sure by now you've seen our bright green GFL trucks and containers throughout the greater Jacksonville area. We are an industry leader in solid waste and would love the opportunity to earn your business. We are committed to customer service, reliability, and have unwavering focus on safety. Whether commercial or construction, let us haul your waste away. Call 904-760-5880 to get a quote today. GFL, green for life.
Hey, I'm Tony from Tony D's Pizza. People ask me all day long, is it the water that makes the difference? Well, yes and no. Even water can't make a good pizza. It's the ingredients, too. The best tomatoes, the best flour, and the best cheese. Oh, and a lot of love. Tony D's New York Pizza, Bay Meadows and 295.
Florida Home AC, the official AC partner of the Jaguars. Make them your AC partner. With honest cost estimates before they start the work with no hidden fees. Call 777-4300 for Florida Home AC.
Need or want cash? Beach's Jewelry and Pawn has cash available. Ready to buy guitars, surfboards, jewelry, firearms, tools, and especially gold. They need it all, selling or pawning. Get cash on the spot at Beach's Jewelry and Pawn in Jacksonville Beach.
Keeping kids active is a full-time job for parents. Look no further, though, than I-9 Sports, covering Duval, St. John's, and Clay to get your youngster in the game. Spring and summer registration open right now for flag football, soccer, t-ball, and basketball. Plus, all new girls volleyball at Duval Charter Bay Meadows. I-9 Sports with fields and gyms all over 3 counties. And the best thing is I-9 Sports offers sports year-round so kids can always find a sport to play. i9sports.com. Enter 1010 in the promo code.
This day in sports history is brought to you by Southeast Orthopedic Specialists.
On March 21st, 1959, at the NCAA Men's Basketball Championship, California defeats West Virginia. West Virginia's future Hall of Fame point guard Jerry West is named the tournament's most outstanding player.
E.T. here, and spring in Clay County means one thing, the award-winning Clay County Fair. It's more than just rides in a concert, it's an experience. Savor the flavors of classic fair treats, explore family-friendly attractions, and enjoy a perfect mix of small-town charm and big-time fun. Plan your trip with Explore Clay County Tourism and turn your visit into a getaway. Find the best places to stay, eat, and explore at exploreclay.com. And don't forget to share your fair adventures with #ExploreClay.
Denny Thompson here. If you haven't heard, Tyson Sound & Security has a house built right inside their showroom, showcasing complete home automation and security systems. You have to see it to believe it. This setup can recognize intruders who approach your door and alerts them to leave if there's a break-in. Keep your family safe with the most state-of-the-art technology. Tyson Sound & Security, your security, home theater, and home automation experts. New showroom at 3555 U.S. Highway 17 in Fleming Island.
Has someone you care about been arrested or had their driver's license taken away? I'm Susan Cohen, and I work with David Robbins at the law firm of Epstein & Robbins. We are experienced fighters for those charged with DUI, domestic violence, and all criminal offenses. In your battle with the justice system, there's only one thing you need to know. Dial David 24/7 at Epstein & Robbins, 354-5645. 354-5645.
Join UF Health Jacksonville for their inaugural Golf Classic on Friday, April 25th at Amelia River Club. Sponsorships and foursomes are available. Visit ufhealthjacks.org/golf for details. See you on the course.
This free agency profile is brought to you by Universal Roof and Contracting. Experience the universal difference.
After spending his entire 8-year career with the Dallas Cowboys, Jordan Lewis is signing with the Jacksonville Jaguars. In the most recent season, he allowed a completion rate of 71% with 1 interception and 5 pass breakups. Lewis is reportedly set to become the highest paid nickel corner in the league. However, Jacksonville believes that this signing is worth every penny.
Youth sports at the YMCA's focus on teamwork, discipline, and building confidence. Our experienced coaches can create a positive and supportive environment where your kids can grow, stay active, and develop a love for sports. Sports like basketball, volleyball, swimming, gymnastics, and even elite skills training. Join the fun and register. Give your kids a chance to be a part of something special. Visit fcymca.org to learn all about youth sports at the Y.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville.
Taylor Dahl, Mia O'Brien. I'm Lauren Brooks, live here at Big Dog Family Sports Restaurant in Orange Park. RJ Saunders back at 1010XL headquarters, as always, doing a terrific job. All right, so we were just talking a ton of Jaguars, and certainly people can weigh in on the text line designed by Lifetime Enclosures, 904-641-1010, or the YouTube chat line, as far as what y'all would do if it was Abdul Carter, Mason Graham, or Travis Hunter. Let's get into a little bit of NFL news. We had 2 return specialists signings yesterday. The Bears signed former Jaguars specialist Devin Duvernay, and then the Falcons agreed to terms with former Jaguars returner Jamal Agnew on a deal, 1-year deal worth a maximum of $2.5 million. Agnew was on the Steelers practice squad last year as he recovered from that broken leg that he suffered with the Jags in 2023, but he's fully healthy. I love Jamal Agnew. Devin Duvernay was fine here, but certainly never made as much of an impact as Jamal Agnew. So I think this is smart for the Falcons. But, yeah, I mean, what do the Jaguars what is their plan for return specialists? Does anyone know?
Yeah, Parker Washington.
Yeah, I was like...
You think, but what if he gets hurt?
Tank Bigsby.
If Bigsby becomes more of a starting running back, I don't love Bigsby as a returner in as far as the potential to get hurt, if he's going to be more of the starting running back.
Right. And so is right now at this point, without anything else being done, we're assuming there will be a wide receiver in the draft at some point. If it is what it is Gabe Davis year 2?
At this juncture, yeah. Well, until you draft.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Right now at this point, Parker's behind Gabe.
Yeah, I mean,
because I feel like he shouldn't.
I mean, I don't think you're talking about 2 versus 3. I think you're saying, okay, well, as much as we're going to play BTJ more in the slot, right now you would obviously pencil Parker Washington in as your slot receiver.
Yeah. So then he's also going to be doing your returns.
Yes.
At this point.
Right. So what's the difference at that point is the point you're making.
And maybe Keelan Robinson gets into the mix with that as well. But it feels like
Christian Braswell also returning kicks in the preseason as well. And then I think a couple of the other young depth guys maybe you can play around with at that cornerback position. I mean, I think Trey Prince will end up more of a gunner so long as he sticks. But Braswell returned a couple kicks at times during the preseason last year. Potentially he sticks. Certainly there's a Rutgers tie there that I think bodes in his favor to make the team this upcoming season.
Yeah.
But I think
is Trammell still here at this point too?
I think he got signed to a futures.
Okay.
Yes.
I was trying to remember.
Let me check that. Good question, Taylor. Because that would be another name if only on your 90-man roster.
Yeah.
That yes, at this point in time, because when the team reports April 8th, that will be prior to any of the draft picks joining, and so you're going based off of the roster right now.
Yeah.
As far as Trammell goes, yes, he is technically on the 90-man roster. So you can also make the argument, if only for leverage purposes at the pre-draft lunch availability and in the national media space, we do have guys who right now we could plug and play.
Yeah, my concern is, and obviously I trust Heath Farwell. He's a fantastic special teams coordinator. But you've had guys who were designated to be that return specialist. Jamal Agnew, yes, also played wide receiver at times and certainly got the ball there, especially in 2022 and 2023. And then you have Devin Duvernay last season. They're brought in. Their primary role is a return specialist. Yeah. And Parker Washington is now going to, I assume, be a starting receiver. Yeah. Tank Bigsby is certainly...
For now.
Yeah, for now. In the mix as far as being a starting running back, and certainly got a lot more snaps last year. So I would prefer there to also be a designated return specialist.
Yeah, me too. I always live in that world. I don't really love when
because you're a Hester girl.
Yeah. And I just think we talk about, when you go back to Agnew, how many, huge impactful plays he had. And when you have that guy who, especially, we talk about, and I know a lot of people watching this last season with the new rule changes with the return, they didn't see much, but when you go back and look at the numbers, everything did increase when it came from the average return yardage, when it came to where the kicks were landing. All of the numbers did increase, and they did change pretty significantly. So when you have a true guy that is his main focus, obviously that does alter certain things. And yeah, Devin Duvernay, I don't think made anything too crazy last year. It was probably his worst season in his career because he's a 2-time Pro Bowler before that. But the Jags as a whole last season had a lot of bad players. But I do think having that designated guy does make sense. But to Mia's point, before we get to the draft, it's really hard to figure this out because I think that at this point in time when you're looking, this is a very underwhelming receiving group outside of Brian Thomas Jr., and I think that it's going to still have to be a focal point, and from that, then certain guys will shift to that being their focus.
I also think that, especially when you look back at with regards to the new kickoff rules, by the end of the season, as much as we wanted it to be dynamic, as much as we wanted there to be return opportunities, and you heard John Harbaugh say it, they were just kicking it into the back of the end zone. And so I'm very curious from a special teams approach, if you are Heath Farwell, how you are looking at placing a priority. Look, the kickoff has to be a priority, but if 75% of these teams are just kicking the ball into the back of the end zone, I'm not going to lose sleep over, well, who is my kickoff returner versus who is my punt returner.
As we're having this conversation, I'm thinking to myself, pretty much every position group on this roster is going to be completely overhauled outside of maybe inside linebackers and the
And even
edge
that
guys.
might be, like I said.
And it might be, but like the tight end room is going to look so drastically different from the end of last season to this season. The wide receiving core we've just discussed is going to look drastically different. The running back room might, I have no idea yet, could certainly look different if they want to add someone to that. The quarterback room already looks different because you have a different backup quarterback. The defensive front, we know, is going to have changes. Yes, Josh Hines, Allen, Trayvon Walker, Foye Oluokun, those guys, Devin Lloyd, Chad Muma, we're not sure of their places, Ventrell Miller, but most of those guys will still be on this roster. The secondary, completely different. Like, they basically are just taking an axe to the roster and chopping it.
I say good. That's what I say. I mean, if you've lost a whole lot of games the last year and a half, and I think that when Gladstone came in here, he noticed that there was not many people on this roster that anybody on other teams would pluck and want to take instantly. And
other than the Texans, who keep
taking that.
Listen, I'm not going to.
I mean, they did take Christian Kirk, who's probably the one that teams would,
and Cam Robinson. Teams were at least somewhat interested.
Yeah. Meanwhile, Cam Robinson's former head coach passed on him, so I mean, just saying.
And it was like a week into free agency when it was completely drying out when the offensive line choices.
New England literally doesn't have a left tackle available.
Which is why we just had the conversation about maybe the Patriots do take a left tackle.
I think, and that's where, to bring both conversations full circle, the Patriots have now put themselves in a corner where we know what they're probably going to address with their first or second round pick.
Yeah.
It's the left tackle position. The Jaguars, if they had to roll the ball out today, you could argue their defensive line is fine. Now you look at what they did in free agency and you say, okay, we have an idea of what they're going to do, especially after James Gladstone replied to my question the way that he did at the end of last Thursday's availability. All but saying we are going to be drafting defensive linemen. But outside of that, I think that unlike the Patriots, the Jags, there's not that conversation of, well, we know what they're drafting because there's this massive hole and we know what they're going to do. We are on location today, but did want to remind the Heeligans the text line designed by Lifetime Enclosures is still open. 904-641-1010, the number to reach us at. 574, our friend in Indiana says it should be Keelan Robinson. I would agree. I think at the very least right now as we're having this conversation and the Jags are projecting to the masses regarding their 90-man roster as it currently stands, yes, because that's why he was drafted in the 5th round. Certainly is in that same mold of potentially being, why did my brain just like short circuit there? 2017 running back who got really hurt in 2018. Why am I blanking on his name? Text line, help me out here. That third down, true scat back in the AFC title game. Who was the running back that made the biggest difference for the Jags in 2017? Why am I blanking on his name right now? The text line will help us. Anyways,
like overthinking it now.
Leonard Fournette was the main running back in 2017.
Who was your Corey Grant? Corey Grant.
Oh.
He's in the mold of Corey Grant.
Super fast special teams
Correct.
guy.
Super fast special teams guy. He can be a wrinkle for you every now and then, but ultimately he is primarily a returner and a special teams guy. And I think that's what he is on this roster. I don't know if he therefore makes the cut. I believe the Jaguars will be drafting a running back at some point in the NFL draft. That's not to say they can't carry 4 running backs. They did a year ago, despite Robinson starting the year on IR.
Yeah.
But yes, I think if you were to line up today, that's who the returner would be.
And I will say,
with Parker Washington and Tank figuring out.
Yeah, and I will say in the vein of the return kickoff, and that's what I was saying, that I feel like people expected it to just change like 20 times, and it wasn't that. But it did. The rate of return went from 17 to 29% last year. So that was a pretty decent uptick in how many people were returning the ball compared to 2023 and 2022.
By the way, happy birthday, Parker Washington.
Oh, happy birthday, Parker.
Look at that. And we've got some Nittany Lion fans, Nittany Lion Heeligans on the chat line on YouTube. So we got a lot of PA people listening in for Parker on his birthday.
Absolutely. All right, so we are live here at Big Dog Family Sports Restaurant, 1330 Blanding Boulevard in Orange Park. The Madness 5-wing lunch special runs from 11 to 2:30, so come on by for that. Mia in a little bit's going to order those wings that are going to change her life.
I told the classes who are in from Houston. I told them I would wait to order for them, but I think that maybe an appetizer might be in order as we get ready to make the turn to the 1 o'clock hour.
Yeah, tons of TVs here, and of course that's important because the madness is underway today. Baylor's leading Mississippi State 24-23, and Alabama is beating Robert Morris 7-2. Obviously, that game just tipped off. You are listening to Helmets and Heels on 1010XL 92.5 FM.
Start sequence 1.
This is Mayflower 1 calling Mission Control. Do you read me? Over.
This is Mission Control. Identify yourself and give me a position.
Jacksonville Sports Radio. 1010XL.
Hello, First Coast. I'm sure by now you have seen our bright green GFL trucks and containers throughout the greater Jacksonville area. We're an industry leader in solid waste and would love the opportunity to earn your business. We're committed to customer service, reliability, and have an unwavering focus on safety. Whether commercial or construction, let us haul your waste away. Call 904-760-5880 to get a quote today from GFL, Green for Life.
Shopping with your parents can be embarrassing.
Why would they sell jeans with holes in them? I'm going to speak to the manager.
Mom!
That hoodie is giving. You should get it. YOLO.
Thanks to the Chase mobile app, your kid can shop independently while you keep an eye on their spending. So you can go from...
We can be twinsies.
...to...
How was shopping? Saw you stayed on budget.
Thanks, Mom. Freedom for kids, control for parents. That's family banking from Chase.
Account subject to approval. Chase mobile app is available for select mobile devices. Message and data rates may apply. JP Morgan Chase Bank N.A. member FDIC.
Home is where your story begins. And at Donovan Air Electric and Plumbing, we're here to make it the healthiest, most comfortable place it could be. Whether it's fresh, clean air, dependable plumbing, or reliable power, we take care of it all. From routine maintenance to state-of-the-art solutions, Donovan keeps your home running smoothly. Because at Donovan, we believe your home isn't just where you live, it's where your health meets comfort. Call Donovan Air Electric and Plumbing at 904-270-COOL or visit us online. Let's make your home healthier, safer, and better together.
Daly's Dash is not only your Jaguars game day stop, but a great place to grab a meal any day of the week. To honor the Jags and the fans, we've crafted the Duval Sub. The Duval comes with freshly sliced turkey, ham, melted cheddar, and habanero jack cheese, topped with crisp lettuce, fresh tomatoes, and a double portion of our secret sauce, all served on a fresh roll. Come by your local's Daly's Dash today to get your delicious Duval Sub. Daly's is the official convenience store sponsor of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
St. Johns County parents, does your kid have energy to burn? Want them to play a sport for their middle school? Sign up today for the St. Johns Middle School Athletic Association. Spring pickleball, tackle football, dance, and cheerleading. Who doesn't want their kid to be the next NFL quarterback or dance floor diva? Hurry, time is running out. March is almost over. You know how fast your kid can go from playing Xbox to practicing their touchdown dance or sideline cheer? Sign up at sjmsaa.org. sjmsaa.org.
Every morning that you wake up in a pest-free home is a good morning. And with Florida Pest Control's Pest-Free 365 service, you can. It's more than just a pest control or preventative maintenance plan. It's Florida Pest Control's promise that we'll be there providing pest-free living for your family all year long. And right now, our initial pest service is just $99. To learn more about our Pest-Free 365 service and to schedule your $99 initial pest service, visit flapest.com today.
The flagship station of the Jacksonville Jaguars. WJXL AM Jacksonville Beach. WJXL FM Jacksonville Beach.
Homeowners, listen up. It's time to start fresh in 2025. Prosser here, and Loan Pronto is here to help take control of your finances in 2025 by lowering your house payments and consolidating that nagging debt. Did you know that 9 out of 10 borrowers get a better deal by calling Loan Pronto? Right now, Loan Pronto has some of the most competitive offers for refis, debt consolidation, and purchase loans, starting in the low 5s APR. If your current rate is over 6%, don't settle for paying too much. Even if you're in process with another lender, call Loan Pronto now. Lock in at a lower rate today and close in as little as 2 weeks, often with no appraisal. You can even skip your next 2 house payments. It's fast, easy, and hassle-free. Get your personalized Loan Pronto rate quote instantly with no hard credit pull and no upfront fees. Call now, 904-999-1508, or go to loanpronto.com. That's 904-999-1508. Equal housing lender, NMLS 1661781, subject to lender approval, NMLS, consumeraccess.org.
You've got a lot on your plate. The last thing you need is car trouble. At Maxie's Mechanics, we help you keep your cars, trucks, and SUVs running safely. Visit MaxieAutoRepair.com today for honest service, reliable repairs, and peace of mind for you and your family.
Did you know your pup could take 30,000 to 60,000 steps a day at Dogtopia of Jacksonville Beach Boulevard? That's a whole lot of tail wagging fun with their best furry friends. At Dogtopia, they turn playtime into exercise, learning, and socialization in their off-leash, open play environment. Dogs build confidence, reduce anxiety, and stay happy and healthy, all while having the time of their lives. Visit Dogtopia of Jacksonville Beach Boulevard today.
Hi, I'm Malcolm Anthony. Have you been charged with a crime? You don't have to face it alone. I'm here for you. Stay out of trouble, but if you don't, call me. 285-4LAW. That's 285-4LAW in the 904.
Baloo here for Smunez Vision. Why Smunez Vision? Well, I've been with Dr. Neil Smunez now since I got back to Jacksonville in 2006. 37 years of experience he has. Smunez Vision is a family organization that focuses on personal high-quality medical and surgical eye care. Dr. Catherine Smunez is fellowship trained in cornea and cataract surgery and all refractive surgery. Combined, that's 30 years plus in laser eye surgery. Visit SmunezVision.com today. Here you can see.
This is Molly McDonald with your Attention XL Southeast Orthopedic Specialist local sports update, brought to you by Lone Pronto. It's time to dance for the Florida Gators entering the NCAA tournament tonight. Head coach Todd Golden spoke to the media yesterday and attributes much of the team's success to their front court, considering it a key differentiator. Golden emphasized the importance of this group before entering the tournament.
You know, for a large part of the season, our perimeter received a lot of the credit, as they should, for the level in which they played consistently. Denzel is in that group as well. Irby, obviously, has come on and played very well. But as you just said, I do think the separator is our front court. Ruben and Alex have done a great job starting for us all year. Tommy, definitely an additional starter-level player, one of the best sixth men in the league, has played at an all-league level for a majority of the season. And then being fortunate enough to add Micah back, you know, for lack of a better term, completed us.
It's 60 degrees at 12:59. Time and temp brought to you by Bueller Air and Plumbing. Stay cooler with Bueller.
1010XL is presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville.
I ain't saying that I always sleep alone. I ain't saying that I ain't met no one else. Done a little bit of midnight moving on. And I ain't saying when I do that it don't help. Leave for someone I don't know her name. Pull her real close, but I leave some space.
What do you think?
I like it.
I love it.
Yeah.
I thought you'd like it. The other new Morgan Wallen song today, this one's called Just In Case. I gave you all the overview of it earlier, but if you like country music, if you like Morgan Wallen,
right now.
there you go. This is a really good song, and obviously it makes you wonder who's the one that he loves that doesn't love him back that he wants. That's what I need to know.
Not me.
Not Taylor Doll. We are live here at Big Dog's Family Sports Restaurant here in Orange Park, right on Blanding Boulevard, 1330 Blanding Boulevard. We appreciate everybody coming to hang out with us today. This place is packed, and certainly watching all of the madness as it continues day 2 here. My bracket, by the way, not that anybody cares, but I had Clemson going a lot farther than I should have.
Yes,
let's just say that.
Same.
Yep, not smart, which is funny because you made a bet against Clemson.
Yeah,
so
but he made me feel like Clemson was good.
that's the problem.
because he was
You
so
told me
confident.
that. Exactly. Told me that, and I was led astray as well.
I should have listened to my
gut
7 drinks in at the bar mind.
There you go. All right, Taylor, you found this interesting nugget from Move the Sticks, a recent podcast episode with Greg Rosenthal on the long-term value of playing for a high-profile team like the Eagles. That's playing for, yes, not paying for. And the gist of it is basically that if a guy's going to sign a 1-year deal, a prove-it type of deal, which, of course, we've seen those across the league this year, including right here in Jacksonville with De'Ami Brown signing with the Jaguars, they would rather do that 1-year deal with a team that's going to showcase them in primetime football than a team that's always playing in that 1 p.m. slot.
Well, to be
Jaguars
clear,
are a lot of
and
times playing in the 1 p.m. slot.
yeah. And to be clear, when when it's primetime slot, it's also a team that's going to be in a playoff race.
Yeah.
Like that's the thing.
Well,
It's like-
sometimes we've had those Thursdays that are not
right,
not good teams.
Right, but in the case of the Philadelphia Eagles, 9 times out of 10 over the last decade, they've been somehow involved in the playoff conversation, much like the Kansas City Chiefs.
Yeah. And so a couple things out of this for me that stood out. Number one, I guess to me, those primetime slots, if you're talking about players being more familiar, fans being more familiar and wanting that player to come to the team and being happy that they're signed or not signed, that makes sense. But to me personally, I'm not sure a coach on another team, like you're film studying, you're watching film, you're breaking down everything. You're not like, oh, he played on Monday night, so I watched him. And I'm sure some of it is, but honestly, during the year, I'm not sure these coaches are working on their own things. They're not sitting down and watching a whole Monday night football game to see if the backup offensive tackle that comes in is the player they want. That's when you play those opponents, when you have all of these different pro scouts on your team that work for you, that are the ones that are watching film. So I'm not sure how much it factors in. I could see the player's mindset turning in that point of being like, more people are going to see me. So if I'm playing on the Eagles or the Ravens or whoever, but also the Bears get like 6 prime times every year and they suck. So that doesn't really do much for me.
Another point to make, especially with regards to the Eagles and their defensive line, because of course this was with regards to Azeez Ojulari, I think, and being a pass rusher, the Philadelphia Eagles, because Howie Roseman has drafted edge rushers and defensive linemen in waves, you can take it to the bank. He's going to draft at least one in the first 3 rounds of the NFL draft. From Georgia, 9 times out of 10 as well. Ditto to the offensive line. If you're Mekhi Becton, if you are one of these journeymen, not even journeymen, we'll call it failed premium drafted edge rushers, it doesn't work out in your initial stop, so you go to the Eagles, it's because there's other pieces, there's a good chance that you're not going to be accounted for too. Or because the opposition has to account for so many other pieces, well, yes, you could go to another organization, whether they're competitive this year or not. You could go to another organization and be the undisputed number one, or you go here where now there's a track record. There's clear evidence through the years of players, whether it's Hassan Reddick, I know Bryce Huff didn't really work out, but the players that have gone to Philadelphia and they have thrived because there's so many other guys they have to account for. And so you have that opportunity to maximize your potential, get your stats up, and then cash in the next offseason.
Yeah, and that's what, like, if we're just talking about the Eagles, that's one thing. But this whole thing was about, in general, playing for teams that have prime times over teams that get 1 o'clock Sunday games. And to me,
it's
like,
funny,
he
by the way,
specifically.
people actually were like, we love 1 o'clock games.
I love 1 o'clock
You and
games.
I are in that vein
Yeah.
for sure, but
I don't want prime
I
time
was
games.
surprised to see how many NFL fans actually were like,
Agreed.
we love 1 p.m. and they were Eagles fans like, we're never going to have a 1 p.m. again.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, I didn't know that other people were like on
our
board
team,
with that.
take some of ours.
Yeah,
I mean,
we have extras, but I also
No, I
want
love
them.
1 o'clock.
But
yeah.
in this, he said I won't throw the team he mentioned under the bus, but he mentioned one of those NFC South teams, and he was like, you want to go there? You want to play at 1 every Sunday?
That's the Panthers.
So, or honestly, the Saints maybe recently, but I don't know. But I do think that when you're talking about that, that's where it's a little strange to me, because if we're talking about competitors, then yeah, you want to. Of course, if you're a free agent or you're getting traded, you want to go to a team that's competitive. But that competitive team that are making playoff runs, to me, doesn't always directly translate to 1 o'clock to prime time, because like I just said, every year the Bears get that many and they suck every year. And so I do think it's embarrassing, honestly, to sit there and watch that, but that happens every year. The amount of times that we trash the Thursday night games, the amount of times this last year, Thanksgiving was terrible pretty much because all the teams were bad. And so I don't think the problem is when we talk about, and I've complained about this, the strength of schedule.
Right.
They go by that strength of schedule in like April, and everything changes by the time the season kicks off. So by that time, yes, you're going to get like the Ravens and the Chiefs and the Eagles. Those are ones that we've seen for a long time, but they take these big gambles on other teams. And so if in his point, a player would say, so-and-so, the Texans were projected this last year to be this crazy good team, and everybody it was gonna be hard to beat them. And so if you go to the Texans last year because you think you're going to be on this team that's in prime time because they're really good, and then you get there and you're like, oh, well, that didn't really work out the way I wanted it to work out.
Which is why if I was a player that was offered a 1-year deal at a place that I may not be that familiar with, but I think I can have success building off of being there and using that as a jumping spot, then I do understand the primetime games. Like, you have to look at it in the sense of yes, everyone's going to watch scout, or all the scouts are going to watch the film, but your name is going to be talked about more when it is a Monday night and you make that sack. But certainly in the playoffs, we all know that.
If you screw up,
There's
it also
teams.
pops out more too.
It does, but of course, an NFL player never goes into a game thinking like,
I'm about to mess this up.
I might have some drops today as a receiver, right? Or tight end, like a running back. I might drop the ball today. Like, obviously, they always think that they're going to be successful. A quick update when it comes to basketball. Baylor 33, Mississippi State 32. So a really good game there as far as that 8-9 game. And then Alabama up by 10 on Robert Morris. To me, that's not really a surprise. Alabama is one of the better teams in the country.
Not a surprise, although they just cut away to a young fan in the stands. He's holding an elephant for the Tide, as in their mascot, but then also has a Patrick Mahomes jersey on. Like, okay, talk about a front runner. Sorry, kid.
He probably has a Yankee hat too.
Yep, exactly. He's got his
and a Lakers jersey. He would tell you that
his Cowboys
he would
backpack.
tell you that the Chiefs actually just lost the Super Bowl. You know?
Yes, and it's also that he just likes the color red. But yeah, not really a surprise with Alabama, although of course we want a little bit more madness on day 2 of the tournament. But Mark Sears, Grant Nelson is healthy. Apparently he had Mark Sears. My thought on Mark Sears, as veteran a point guard as there is, as tournament battle tested as there is, a player in the tournament field. First team All-American alongside Walter Clayton Jr. of Florida. So I'm not surprised to see Alabama cruising so far in their first game. But Grant Nelson, the leading scorer for Alabama, because Mark Sears had a cold start to the 2024-2025 campaign. He is available. Apparently he had a knee brace on his hand. I guess he eventually put it on his knee.
I was
he was warming up with it on his hand.
They do things backwards in Alabama.
Yeah, so he has not played so far in this game, at least by quick looking at the box score, because of course we've been on the air here at Big Dog, so haven't actually seen him check in yet. But at the same time, he's there. He was warming up. If you're up by 10 or 20, you probably don't need to play him, and you look ahead to the next matchup.
Yeah, I mean, I think teams have to be smart in March. And when you had a guy who, Grant Nelson, for people who weren't watching, last weekend went down in the game against Florida in that semifinals of the SEC men's basketball tournament. And so he's a huge part of their offense, but they're a huge part of their team in general. And so, like you said, leading scorer, but he's certainly more than that.
He's Dakota Durant. If you've heard me say the words, the Dakota Durant, that's who we are referring to.
And, yeah, so Nelson, I certainly, if they don't need him, I wouldn't play him. We talked about that with Alex Condon this year for Florida. When they didn't need him for a few games, like, don't rush him back. By the way, speaking of Florida, a name for Gator fans to know when it comes to Norfolk State, senior guard Brian Moore Jr. is their main scorer. He leads the team with 18.4 points per game, also almost 4 rebounds, 3.1 assists, and shoots 54% from the field. He's from New York, and he has scored 20-plus 13 times this season.
Wow.
So obviously the trio, Brian Moore Jr. Okay. The trio of Elijah Martin, Will Richard, Walter Clayton Jr., they're going to have to obviously contain him. I don't know that Norfolk State can beat Florida tonight. I just don't know that they have the manpower to do it, but that is one guy I want you to watch out for.
Yeah, it would be a massive upset.
Yeah.
Like, I don't even know how to explain it.
And I would be so upset that y'all might not see me
out next
on
week.
Monday. But then again, if every Gator grad on the station took Monday off because Florida were to lose,
yeah, Steve Griffin might have to shut the station down on Monday.
Florida currently a 28.5-point favorite over Norfolk State. That actually has dropped a little bit.
Hopefully the actual Gator boys don't know that.
Yeah.
I don't want them hearing anything about that.
Minus 20K on the money line. So, yeah, I mean, look, all of the 1 seeds versus the 16 traditionally are going to be double-digit spreads. This one's, I think, the smallest of the 1s versus the 16s in the field. But, hey, listen, Norfolk State got the best of Mizzou a couple of years ago, so they do have history of beating SEC teams in the field of 68.
We were talking about this a little bit off air, Lauren, because there was some news that came out recently that Aaron Rodgers is at the Steelers facilities today.
Yes.
So Gary Dulac, I think his name.
Yeah, that's his name.
So he said an indication a deal with the team could be forthcoming. And Rappaport said, just the first visit for a free agent QB, Aaron Rodgers.
Deal is
it's
close.
just yeah. So it's just the Aaron Rodgers saga of games that he likes to play in the offseason.
I'm telling you, I think he's going to wait. I think it's going to be August.
Me too.
He can go back to
He's going to stretch this out.
Hawaii.
He doesn't want to go to OTAs. He usually doesn't anyway, so he might as well just wait until after all that's over, and then some team, whether it's just one of these teams that still need a guy or someone gets hurt, and he's like, hey, I'm right here.
But at that point, they're going to overpay him. So he's
like,
why not?
From the team perspective, though, you need your quarterback there especially for those young guys, through OTAs.
But if your quarterback gets hurt,
he barely does OTAs anyways.
If your quarterback gets hurt, yes. But I mean, if I'm the Steelers, right now
I think it's been 4 years since he's actually came to all of the full OTAs.
Yeah, if I was a team, I would not want him.
Yeah,
just put it that way. He's aging.
Tell me about it.
Right. Taylor just doesn't want him, regardless, even when he was.
I don't want him on the planet.
In his prime. Yeah. Well, we're not killing him. We're just sending him to maybe another country. All right, I'll give you our Terminix Pest of the Day on the other side. If Taylor was doing it, it might be Aaron Rodgers. You are listening to Helmets and Heels. We are live here at Big Dog's Family Sports Restaurant, 1330 Blanding Boulevard in Orange Park. And like I said, tons of TVs, the biggest and best wings in Northeast Florida. Come on down here to Orange Park. It's 1010X on 92.5 FM.
Did you see that guy?
Tom McManus.
That is the toughest man I've ever seen in my life.
Catch Tommy Mack with Mike Dempsey and Fat Tony. Fridays on Jaguars Today, 10 to noon on 1010XL.
Winter clutter holding you back? Freshen up your home this spring with a custom organization solution from Closets by Design. Mia here for a limited time. Take advantage of their spring special. 40% off any order of $1,000 or more, plus 30% off any order of $700 to $1,000, and an additional 15% off both, not to mention free installation on any order of $850 or more. Call today to schedule your free consultation at 1-800-293-3744 or visit closetsbydesign.com.
Value or flavor? Price or taste? Why choose when you can get both with everyday deals at Sunny's? Right now, you can get the pork big deal for $10, the pork and rib combo for $12, and all you can eat ribs for just $19.99. Yep, you heard right. All your favorites are now available all day, every day. And that's why it's always Sunny's here. Sunny's Barbecue. Local pitmasters since '68.
The trip of the summer is coming. Live. Collective Soul. Summer Unity Tour 2025. Daly's Place, Friday, August 8th. Special guest, Graylin James Rue. Tickets on sale now at Ticketmaster.com. Live, Collective Soul, together.
Cool Cats Heating and Cooling, the coolest cats in town. Setting the standard in our hometown. Quality service, the best around. Coolidge is the cat that cares about your heating and about your air. Cool Cats Heating and Cooling, the coolest cats in town.
DivorceMenOnly.com. This is Kenny Lay of Kenny Lay & Associates. Our firm specializes in representing men in family law. That's all we do. That's our only focus. We can help with all of your family law needs, such as divorce, custody, alimony, and child support. For over a decade, we have helped thousands of men with these types of issues. We even have an appellate division ready to challenge a judge's ruling. If you need a family law attorney, go to DivorceMenOnly.com. DivorceMenOnly.com. Offices, Jacksonville.
The Jacksonville Icemen have punched their ticket to the Kelly Cup playoffs in April. But first, the Icemen have some regular season business to take care of as they host the South Carolina Stingrays this Saturday for a possible playoff preview. Saturday is Hockey for Everyone night at ViStar Veterans Memorial Arena. Puck drops at 7. Get tickets at Ticketmaster, JacksIceman.com, or call 904-602-PUCK. 904-602-PUCK. Iceman Hockey is #Frozen Frenzy.
Buying a diamond, wedding band, or piece of fashion jewelry in Jacksonville? You have two choices. You can go to locally owned Beard's Diamonds, or you can go to one of those mega national chain jewelry stores. The national chains are pretty much all the same. In fact, did you know that some of them are owned by the same conglomerate? Yes, the same Wall Street company owns all the big names. So if you're looking for extreme value with genuine personal attention, come experience the Beard's Diamond difference. At Beard's, our diamonds come straight from the source. We hand select each each one for maximum brilliance. We don't have to apply corporate markups and tack on salespeople commissions, so we beat the chains on price every single day. Beards has the strongest warranties, not gotcha clauses and fine print. Beards has all the top designers, including Tacori and Viraggio. Beards doesn't have out-of-state regional managers calling about sales quotas. We are all local, family-owned with total freedom to do what's right for our customers. Beards Diamonds, all the selection, quality, value, and service you want from local people, accountable only to you. Beards in the St. John's Town Center.
Joe C for Hard Rock Betting. It's finally here. You've got your bracket. Now you've got to head to hardrock.bet and check out all the big games. This is it. March is all about underdogs, buzzer beaters, unforgettable moments. Hard Rock Bet keeps the action going with promos, boosts, and more all tournament long. Don't miss out. Be ready for tip-off. Download the Hard Rock app now. Offered by the Seminole Tribe of Florida. Must be 21 plus and physically present in Florida to wager. Terms and conditions apply. Concerned about gambling? Call 1-888-ADMIT-IT.
Mia O'Brien is going to be the first woman president of the United States of America.
Catch me weekdays from noon to 2 on Helmets and Heels.
And she could run later this year even, and I would vote for her.
All things Mia are driven by Arlington Toyota on 1010XL.
Spring is in the air. Time to wake up your lawn with Heroes Lawn Care. Say goodbye to pesky mosquitoes with their organic and spray treatments. Perfect for outdoor fun. Keep your lawn clean and fresh with their pet waste removal for homes and businesses. Heroes Lawn Care takes care of it all. From mowing, edging, fertilizer, to irrigation, and much more. Visit heroeslawncare.com.
This is the Mangler. Years of playing football coupled with lifestyle left my feet mangled with neuropathy. I was experiencing burning, tingling, and numbness. I spoke with 2 foot specialists and they told me there was no cure. They were wrong. I found Dr. Nate Riddle in Ponte Vedra. After utilizing his neuropathy treatment for only 2 weeks, I noticed a difference in my feet. I was regaining my feeling and balance. If you want relief from nerve pain, call Dr. Nate for a free consultation at Riddle Wellness, 904-395-5598.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville.
Lately, I've been thinking, I want you to be happier. I want you to be happier. When the morning comes and we see what we've become. In the cold light of day, we're a flame in the wind, not the fire that we be.
Taylor Dahl, Mia O'Brien. I'm Lauren Brooks. RJ Saunders back at 1010XL headquarters. We are live here at Big Dogs Sports Restaurant Family Affair out here in Orange Park, 1330 Blanding Boulevard. Mia, what did you snack on in the break?
I got some lumpia, which apparently is another house specialty of our friends here at Big Dog. Of course, a traditional Filipino dish. And not every day you see that as the first item on the menu. And so to me, I was like, I asked our friend Andrea. My guess is that it must be a signature dish, and it is indeed. And it lived up to the hype.
Lumpia is literally one of my favorite things on the planet. My best friend, she's Filipino, and she makes fantastic lumpia. So anytime we have any sort of party, whether it's a draft party, Super Bowl party, 4th of July party, I always try and talk her into making some lumpia too. But theirs also looks fantastic. I haven't taken a bite yet, but I cannot wait.
I am always impressed when restaurants can do so many things and do it well.
Yeah.
And around here, like I said, people will tell you that these are the best wings you've ever had. And then, like you said, they'll be like, oh, you've got to have the lumpia or the buffalo chicken tacos someone recommended. So, yeah, tons of great stuff. They also have crispy fried pickles. They have catfish nuggets. I don't know that I've seen catfish nuggets on a menu.
Neither, but I really feel like I'd like those.
Oh, absolutely.
Because I love any sort of fish nugget. I don't think I've had catfish nuggets, but I honestly have been kind of debating getting those, but everyone keeps talking about the wings, so I feel bad not doing the wings.
I feel that I'm a bad Catholic, but at the same time, I feel like I would be doing a disservice to the good people of Clay County, our Heeligans here, who've been so gracious and so excited to come up and talk to us. I would be doing a disservice if I didn't try their delicacy of these wings at Big Dog.
Do you know what the word smorgasbord means?
Yeah, that's what
smorgasbord. That's right. That's what is here at Big Dogs. And again, we are in Orange Park. So excited to talk to all these people out here who are so nice to us. Everyone always saying so many wonderful things. I love the question that they always ask, like, how did you learn so much about sports? My answer is usually I grew up in a household that watched sports.
Yeah.
And also, there's this thing called the internet.
Yes. The thing called the internet's a big
I'm
part
sick
of it.
also. We were talking about it when we went on break. We're like, we just spent a whole segment talking about the return specialist for the Jags. That's when you know you're deep in it.
That's when you know that, yeah, it's certainly a passion. All right, time now for the Terminix Pest of the Day. As always, brought to you by our friends at Terminix. Visit them online, terminix.com. They'll be out at our house next week. And just some routine stuff, but I know if I have any issues whatsoever, I can give them a call anytime. And certainly they take care of Everbank Stadium, ViStar Veterans Memorial Arena, ViStar Ballpark, all of those great event venues for a reason because they do such a great job. Make sure also if you have any sort of issues with termites, Terminix can handle those before the issue becomes too big of a deal. All right, this one I'm surprised I'm going to say, but it's all the haters of Bronny James. That's today's Terminix Pest of the Day.
Uh-oh, I think we're going to need RJ to say his piece on that.
17 points last night, RJ. His certainly best game as an NBA player so far. But I understand when he was drafted, everyone hated on him then. I get that. But why now when he's playing well?
Let's go. I'm ready for this.
I mean, look, here's a guy that I think being the 55th overall pick, it is kind of weird. It's also kind of interesting just due to the fact that we talk so much about a guy who was picked 55th.
Mm-hmm.
At the same time, I just think he has a father who at one point said, my son can play in the league right now. We also heard when we thought this guy was going to be a top 10 pick in the NBA draft before he played an ounce of basketball at USC that, hey, this is what we've been working towards the whole entire time. And then it's, hey, just let the kid be a kid. So I think there's just a lot of up and down. I think for Bronny James, he's in a good spot where he's saying I'm, getting a lot more comfortable within the offense and within myself. I'm watching from the bench. I'm also playing in the G League here and there. So just had to give the kid time. I think anyone who wanted immediate impact, I think it stemmed from his father, rightfully so, because his father was talking half the trash. So, great job for Bronny James. I think everybody's going to remember that he had 17 points and gloss over the fact that the Lakers got their head stomped in by 29.
I do think playing with dad probably helps because it's, number one, it's LeBron James, but I do think also when you are you're going to something that you're comfortable in because your dad's there and can kind of walk you through some of maybe the uncomfortable things when you are a rookie playing in the NBA and figuring stuff out. But I do think that I just did a quick search on Twitter just to see a lot of the ones I'm seeing are everyone saying you owe Bronny an apology. Everybody owes Bronny an apology. I just didn't. It was a weird pick to me, but I never really knew what to expect out of them. I just had so many questions was it only because of LeBron? How much of a factor was he going to be on this? And so I had a lot of questions surrounding it. I just truly had no idea what to expect whatsoever. But I'm seeing a lot of people saying that that people should be saying sorry to Bronny.
Yeah, well, I mean, at the end of the day, yes, where he was picked is because of his dad.
Yeah.
And I understand, like I said, the hatred then, but now when he's starting to play better, just support the kid.
I mean, RJ, I feel like we talked about this when he was going through the draft process last spring. Ultimately, Bronny James was always going to translate to the NBA. It's just that if his father wasn't LeBron, he probably stays in college for 4 years, and he turns into a great rotational backup point guard, and there's nothing wrong with that. You can make a great living in the league for 10-plus years. He is a guy who stuffs the stat sheet. He's not going to drop 20 to 30 points a night. That's just not his game. He's much more focused on the, what do we like to say, the things in between the margins. So those little hustle stats that you don't talk about, that has always been his game, and it's in large part because he is not, what is LeBron listed at, 6'8"? He's 6'1" on a good day. And that's okay because, again, there is a role for that in the league.
Speaking of basketball, the Jaguars just put out some elite social media.
Oh, my gosh, the Trevor thing?
Yes. So they took a screenshot of a text with Trevor Lawrence, and they asked him, as they did some other players as well, but the madness has begun, who you got? And, of course, Trevor's response, Clemson, ... Unfortunately. Tank Bigsby going with Auburn, makes sense. That's where he went to school. And then they asked Tyson Campbell, and he was like, Georgia. But realistically, Auburn. because he knows, Georgia was never going to win it all. But I love, of course, also Ventrell Miller has Florida because naturally that's where he played. But also, I think that's a much more realistic pick than certainly Clemson.
We didn't talk about that a ton at the top when we were talking about the games from yesterday. But I remember when we were having the conversation about Georgia and you were talking about Mike White and the opposite of him, like the differences between him and Todd Golden and how Todd Golden's teams go on these runs of they're the ones going
Scoring
on the
points,
run. Yeah.
not droughts.
And Mike Weiss was the opposite of that. And we saw that. We saw that big time yesterday. I was like, is Georgia going to score for the rest of the game? It felt like they weren't for a minute.
Yeah, welcome to
Asa Newell versus Gonzaga. That's what that matchup was. And it's, unfortunately, and I think it's a larger conversation that we are having, not just in basketball, but across sports at both the professional and amateur level. The idea of the enemy of good is great. Mm-hmm. And ultimately, while Mike White has been able to put together over the last decade plus teams that can go to the NCAA tournament, where they have deficiencies and where they still can't crack that upper tier, it's okay to say it's time. It's time to move past, and that's what Florida did. And
he left of his own volition, though. That's what whenever people, want to clap back about, like, you were anti-Mike White, and it's like, not necessarily. I didn't think that his teams played offensively the way that I wanted them to, but I was never anti-Mike White. It was more he got tired of the noise in Gainesville, certainly in his family. I would
still take Todd Golden if you want to trade Billy Donovan.
Yeah, I love Billy, but I'm sticking with Todd as of now. A couple of score updates for you. Baylor 37, Mississippi State 32. That one's at the half. And then we have a really good one cooking. Alabama 39, Robert Morris 36. So they have certainly closed that gap now, just a 3-point lead for the Tide.
So much for our thought of, Alabama's going to run away with this. Come on, it's March, anybody's game. We can't talk about that Jaguars post without discussing our good friend, 1010XL's college basketball analyst, Foye Oluwakin, who was boots on the ground in Denver for Yale's defeat at the hands of Texas A&M.
Yeah, I picked Yale. Thanks a lot, Foye.
Yeah.
I didn't.
I feel like that's like the common place practice is like, well, Yale was in the tournament last year. They upset Auburn. The Ivy League does it better than most mid-majors. Like, come on, we got to keep rolling with this. Foye told the official channel that they're still national champs in his book. But he did post on his personal channel. I don't know if you guys saw his IG story. He was like, I need you guys to pick up the pace because I've talked too much crap. I was dying, so.
Yeah, it gets exciting, certainly, when you pick an upset and the upset ends up being correct.
Yeah.
And, I had Arkansas beating Kansas. Mm-hmm. But at the end of the day, I also thought John Calipari is a guy that knows how to operate in this NCAA tournament, which Mike White had never actually lost a game, the first game, I should say, in the NCAA tournament until Georgia got the doors blown off by Gonzaga.
Yeah, we haven't really gotten a chance to talk about, and we could talk about it in our final segment, Coach Cal, Coach Pitino, Saturday night.
I think it's actually at 2:40
Oh,
on
it is?
Saturday.
I thought they were putting it on CBS at 5 o'clock something. But
at least on my bracket, it shows 2:40 p.m., which I was excited about because I will be also locked into gymnastics Saturday night, so I would much rather have this as the appetizer.
There you go. Look, ultimately, and John Calipari in Arkansas were able to take down Bill Self, who's also going to go down as one of the greatest coaches of all time, who has more national championships in the last 25 years compared to John Calipari. But ultimately, that was another example, what we talked about in the 12 o'clock hour. Arkansas out-athleted Kansas. And for Bill Self, Kevin looked at me and said, he was like, do you think this is the end? Because this is a guy who, much like Tom Izzo, has made it very clear that he will die trying to get back to a Final Four, that he will continue to mine the portal like a maniac, to the point that Riley Kugel showed up in Lawrence, Kansas last spring and was told, actually, I gave out too many scholarships. Take a gray shirt or you got to go somewhere else, which is what he did. That's why he's playing for Mississippi State as we speak.
Winner Riley Kugel, by the way.
Yes, exactly. Because
for sure, I'd rather be on Mississippi State this season than Kansas.
Right. And look, Hunter Dickinson shows up, and Kansas had won the Big 12 the past 12 years, and they finished in 5th and 6th the last 2 seasons. And so it's one of the more disappointing storylines in college basketball, but at the same time, massive victory for Coach Cal and company, even though he still can't draw up plays in the final 30 seconds of a game.
Those inbound passes were a little
he says
tricky.
To Evan Washburn, he's like, it could have taken us 4 tries to inbound the ball, and I'm like, yeah, you wouldn't be saying that if you had lost the game, which you were in danger of doing, Cal. And so, look, it's going to be an ultimate content factory at 2:40 240 on Saturday, and I'm here for it. I do think that as much as both are characters in this sport, in terms of X's and O's, Rick Pitino is by far and away, in my opinion, the more elite coach historically. In terms of in-game decisions, in terms of pressing the right buttons. John Calipari is an elite recruiter. He has been able to put together teams everywhere he has gone. But ultimately, I think those last 5 minutes of a game, speaking of good versus great, that's the reason he got run out of Kentucky. Yes, he hadn't gone past the Sweet 16 and since 2017 or whatever it was. I know there's at least one Kentucky fan out there who's going to be mad at me for saying that, or Elite Eight. 2017, they went to the Elite Eight. Point being, he wasn't getting the job done in terms of advancing in the tournament, but also those end-of-game decisions. And this idea of, well, I'm Cal and I'm more powerful than all. I can do whatever I want. At the end of the day, the reason that so many people are talking about Drake, the reason so many people are talking about Will Wade, is because of the decisions they make in-game. The reason that it's kind of like the run game in the NFL. Offensive line. It's sexy again because we've gone back to basics. And I think that that's what you're seeing in college basketball as well. Teams that pride themselves on offensive rebounding, like Florida, like Texas Tech, those are the teams that are more in vogue than those teams that just put up crazy numbers with their diaper dandies.
Well, when we talk about that, too, in the world of the NFL, when we're saying those one-score games, how many times have we talked about those? And it's similar to where if you have these coaches, it's cool that you can keep within one score, but it's cooler when you can win a lot of those one-score games, and a lot of that comes down to what you're doing at the end of games.
Yeah, here's a great quote, by the way, from the Norfolk State contingent about Walter Clayton Jr.
Oh, boy.
He's definitely a very microwave scorer. He scores fast and he heats up quick.
Microwave.
Like
I absolutely love it.
I was like, where's this going?
Yeah, here at Big Dogs, they not just have great food, they've also been playing fantastic music today. We've heard Fleetwood Mac. We've heard, right now,
Whitney
we're hearing
Houston.
Leonard Skinner. We've heard Whitney Houston. We've heard Jimmy Buffett. So Call Me the Breeze is playing right now by Leonard Skinner. Love that song. All right, we do have one segment to go here, and certainly we'll be devouring some food after the show. You are listening to Helmets and Heels on 1010XL 92.5 FM.
Now, another March update, served up hot by Hurricane Grill and Wings and Florida Pest Control.
It's day 2 of March Madness officially underway as the slate of games is only just getting started. We currently have 3 games in action right now. Over in Raleigh, North Carolina, 8th-seeded Mississippi State and 9th Baylor, the 2021 champs, are playing. Baylor leads that game 37-32. And over in Cleveland, Ohio, the 2-seed Alabama Crimson Tide are in a close one with Robert Morris, the Horizon League champions. As we just went to the half there, Bama leads 40-36. And then Iowa State and Lipscomb, the Atlantic Sun champions, have just tipped off. I believe Iowa State is leading that game 2-0. Later, we've got some great games coming up. 7th-ranked St. Mary's versus the 10-seed Vanderbilt at 3:15. 6th-seed Ole Miss versus the 11th-seeded North Carolina Tar Heels, who got in on that play-in game at 4:05. So I'm Max Fink with another NCAA tournament update.
Call 904-500-COOL. Ideal Conditions.
Want to support a locally and veteran-owned company? If you need a new AC, we should be your first and only call. Ideal Conditions keeps you cool. Just ask your AC. Call 904-500-COOL or visit idealconditionsjacks.com.
Call 904-500-COOL.
Honk if you see us. Call for service.
Ideal Conditions.
Idealconditionsjacks.com.
Real estate isn't just a job, it's a commitment. With Paige Covington, you get a dedicated partner who's available day or night because buying or selling a home doesn't follow a schedule. Your needs come first. Whether it's finding the perfect home or selling for top dollar, Paige Covington goes the extra mile every time. Meet Paige Covington with England Volkers at String Sports Brewery on Pittman Road in Jacks Beach, Friday, March 21st from 4 to 6 for Madness with the Frangie Show. PaigeCovington.evrealestate.com.
Here's Linda Beaver.
It's a new year with new goals, but let's face it, not all resolutions are easy to keep. Maybe you promised yourself you'd eat healthier, but pizza still seems like a better idea. Or you said you'd read more, but your favorite show just launched a new season. At Beaver Toyota and Beaver Chevrolet, we can help you keep your New Year's resolution. We offer the biggest selection, best prices, and the easiest car buying experience. Let's make a resolution to visit Beaver Toyota or Beaver Chevrolet, where we'll wow you with a new ride for the new year.
Hey Jacksonville, Don from Taco Lou here. Spring has sprung, the temps are rising, and the summer is on the way. In our world, that can only mean one thing. Cinco is coming. Yes, the day everyone gets their taco fix and margarita fix. It could possibly be the best Monday of the year this year. If you're sitting at your desk on a Monday thinking no tacos for me, well, think again. We wouldn't let a big day like Cinco de Mayo slip by just because it's a Monday. Skip work or get the day off. But come and celebrate with us at Taco Lou in Jacksonville Beach. Maybe take Tuesday off. Taco Lou in Jacksonville Beach.
Learn more about the beautiful game of soccer and its impact on the River City.
What a beautiful thing to behold.
Get an hour of soccer talk on the Sporting Jax Soccer Hour.
That's all I want to know.
Tuesday at 6 p.m. on 1010 a.m.
This is Dr. George Bari, inviting you to look online at BariOrthopedics.com for the latest in medical advancements when it comes to getting you back to full joint health. After studying under Dr. James Andrews, I know proper diagnosis is the first key to treatment, and educating the patient is the fastest path to recovery. Whether it's chronic back pain, nagging arthritis, or necessary joint replacement, we're here to serve you in the best possible way. We are Bari Orthopedics and online at BariOrthopedics.com.
Find out more at BariOrthopedics.com. That's BAHRI Orthopedics.com.
There's a lot on the line in a divorce. Your home, savings, maybe even your kids. So when you find yourself facing divorce and the unexpected directions it can take, you need a partner you can count on. I'm Rick Julius, a partner at Cordell & Cordell. Don't let divorce take more than it has to.
Offices in Jacksonville. Schedule an appointment with one of Cordell & Cordell's attorneys. Lisa Cargis, Florida resident partner. Rick Julius, licensed in Pennsylvania only. Online at CordellCordell.com.
Hi, I'm Sean Monahan from Monahan Jewelers in Atlantic Beach. Since 1977, we've been Jacksonville's local family jeweler with a beautiful selection of fine jewelry and certified diamonds. But we're also Jacksonville's leading buyer of gold and silver and diamonds from the public. Gold has recently hit an all-time high at almost $3,000 per ounce. Pay bills, buy something fun. Now is the time to sell your gold for cash and get top dollar or trade it in for a new piece and get even more value at Monahan Jewelers in Atlantic Beach.
Diabetes, high blood pressure, anxiety meds, everyone's on them. If you're a 50-year-old male, maybe a bit porky, and you may even have type 2 diabetes, $1 million of term insurance may only cost you about $200 a month. Call Term Provider. Speak with Big Lou at 800-444-2013. Big Lou will find a term life policy for you even if you have type 2 diabetes, are overweight, or have high blood pressure. Term Provider has helped thousands of people like you who think they can't afford term life insurance. To buy $1 million of affordable term life for you, all you need to do is call Big Lou at 800-444-2013. Lou will make sure the scales are tipped in your favor. Call 800-444-2013. Big Lou will answer your call and work to fit you into a term life policy that you can afford. Remember, Big Lou's like you. He's on meds, too. Call 800-444-2013. 800-444-2013.
The housing market is as busy as ever on the First Coast. And if you've moved in or moved on, make sure you have a team of trained electricians ready to help. American Electrical can make sure you're up to date electrically and maximize your living experience. Smart home automation services, home theater systems, outdoor and dock lighting, and backup generators. American Electrical can do it all. A team you can trust with highly trained technicians ensuring you have the best living experience. American-Electrical.com, a leader on the First Coast and powered by professionalism.
Hi, I'm Jeff Breyer, president of Lifetime Enclosures and Lifetime Flooring.
And I'm Zach Breyer. When my dad started in business in 1990, I wasn't even born yet.
That's true. And after 35 years and nearly 20,000 satisfied customers, we literally have a showroom in every neighborhood.
So whether you need more outdoor living space with a glass or screen enclosure, or you're looking to transform your home with new flooring, we've got you covered.
Visit our websites, or better yet, do yourself a favor and stop by one of our showrooms on Phillips Highway to experience the Lifetime difference and receive 20% off your purchase now through March.
Lifetime Enclosures. 1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555, Jacksonville. Now, the Cool Down with Donovan Air Electric and Plumbing. Keeping Jack's cool since 1987.
RJ, let's hear from Rory McIlroy.
RJ
works in Jacksonville.
It's just here at Big Dogs. I'm telling you, maybe nobody does work in Jacksonville.
RJ
It is packed.
RJ Saunders does work, so that's why I was like, RJ, you there? He's like keeping us up to date, making sure everything on multimedia, social media is good too. Shout out to RJ and shout out to all of our producers because they are definitely working this week while we get to enjoy and meet with so many of you here over these 2 days of the NCAA tournament. I've been teasing it all show. It's time that we read from the book of Will Wade. Yes, I'm going to read you Will Wade's commentary from his post-game press conference after McNeese State's victory over Clemson yesterday because we could listen to it too, but I think just reading it aloud, I feel like we need some like background music, like story time, RJ. Let's begin with this. Will Wade, of course, was asked about the fact that he is still coaching at McNeese State when it has been widely reported that he has agreed to terms. Oh, look at that. Story time. I love this. He has agreed to terms to be the next head coach at NC State, but he's still coaching at McNeese State. Could that have potentially created problems in the locker room? To which he says, we're not worried about any of that stuff. Here's the thing. We could sit here and lie about it, but it is what it is. Our guys aren't worried. I'm not worried. No one's worried. We've been honest with everybody. Senior Christian Schumott said this, I think when you're in the loop and both ends are transparent about things, there's not too much room for conflict. Everybody is aware of everything that's going on here. And when there's a clear understanding, everybody keeps the same angle in the front of 9. We will worry about that stuff later, but perhaps some of the most telling words from the head coach of McNeese State, soon to be head coach of NC State. We'll see what happens. Will Wade says, you may not like what I've got to say, but I'm going to tell you what I think. Our guys know that. That's what Kadir Copeland was laughing about in the press conference. He says, my man, can you sugarcoat the truth a little bit, maybe be a little less direct? Because then Will Wade goes on to say that this is great, the fact that they've won, because, quote, he knows that you should see his players' DMs right now because the number of coaches, the number of programs, the number of recruiters that are in their DMs, they're all going to go Power 5 next year. He says some of them are going to come with him to NC State. That was agreed upon when they got to McNeese State. And then finally, there are 5 coaches right now negotiating with other schools. Come on, it's true. Villanova is trying to hire a coach out of the NCAA tournament right now. Out of pocket. Very transparent. I appreciate that Will Wade, for better or worse, will always tell you exactly what is going on.
I mean, he's already been in trouble with the FBI.
Yeah, he's like,
whatever.
Time to lose.
Correct.
He's like, this is nothing.
He may as well be candid, absolutely. By the way, speaking of updates when it comes to March Madness, Baylor's up 43-36 over Mississippi State, so Baylor's starting to pull away a little bit there in the second half. At the half, Alabama up by 4 on Robert Morris. So certainly that one's going to be a fun second half to watch. And then we also have Iowa State, the 3 seed, taking on the ASUN champion and the 14 seed Lipscomb. And currently Iowa State leading by 3, 13-10. Some really good basketball today. Since we didn't get necessarily the great basketball we were hoping for yesterday, not a single buzzer beater.
Yeah, as Lipscomb ties the score at 13 in Milwaukee.
Here we
with the
go,
Bisons.
Bisons.
Maybe we finally get a little bit of chaos. I did put together a nice little 4-game parlay for those of you out there who want to get in on the action with Hard Rock Bet. 2 from the men's tournament, 2 from the women's tournament, which also tipped off this morning. I've got Memphis on the money line to win this afternoon, the 5 seed over the 12th seed Colorado State Rams, who are the favorites somehow, some way, according to Vegas. Look, Utah State, another prime example last night of why you can never trust the Mountain West. Utah State in particular, 1-13 in all postseason tournaments over their last 14 appearances. Between San Diego State getting run out of the gym against UNC, excuse me. This is just, it's history. I can't bring myself to pick a Mountain West team. So give me Penny Hardaway and company to win that game outright. I also have Akron. Akron covering a 17.5-point spread against Arizona later today. That is solely because I also have questions about Tommy Lloyd when the calendar flips to March. This is a Wildcat team that, well, yes, they got to the Sweet 16 a year ago with Caleb Love. that's as far as they've gotten. They've gotten bounced by the likes of a Nate Oates-led Buffalo in Tommy Lloyd's first season in the desert, and that was technically Miller was still there. But anyways, point being, Arizona in the postseason over the last 5-10 years, I don't trust them. At the very least, I believe Akron will cover. And then if you do want to get in on the women's tournament, a lot of great matchups today. I'm picking both 12 seeds to cover. Fairfield, who won the MAAC. Kansas State has its star center Ayoka Lee back, but she has not played basketball in 2 months. And so give me Fairfield to cover 14.5. And then our friends at South Florida, Taylor. As much as I love Killa Kim Caldwell, the head coach of Tennessee, South Florida, one of the most efficient offenses in women's basketball. And I like them to cover 17.5 as well.
We're live here at Big Dogs, and certainly a place where you can watch all the action with all the TVs here. They also have live music here certain nights. They've got trivia on Tuesday nights, karaoke on Wednesday nights. They've got the Madness 5-wing lunch special running from 11 to 2:30. So come on by and also try the lumpia and the nachos and the burgers and
Catfish nuggets, whatever you want.
Catfish nuggets, all sorts of stuff. When it comes to local baseball, FSU won last night, beat Miami 14-1 in 7 innings. Miami having a bit of a rough season. Game 2 is in Miami tonight. First pitch 8 o'clock. Florida on Wednesday beat A&M 14-4, also in 7 innings. And then tonight, Florida begins the 3-game series with the rival Georgia, obviously a top 10 team in Georgia. And that first pitch is at 6:30 in Gainesville. I saw they're giving away tonight for the first 500 people puzzles of the Condren Family Ballpark.
Oh, that's cool.
I'm jealous, that I won't be there tonight. JU plays host to Stetson. That first pitch tonight is at 7 o'clock. And then UNF is at Queens. The first pitch up in Queens, Charlotte, I should say, at 6 p.m. By the way, UNF played host to Florida last night in softball. Went the Gators' way. Not really a surprise. Florida is one of the best teams in the country, but 8-0 there for Florida. So it's fun, though, to have, like I said earlier this week, it's fun to have some of the teams that will probably go far in either Omaha when it comes to baseball or Oklahoma City when it comes to softball here locally.
2 things. One, we have an update on more of the Jaguars picks. Cam Little has now said Hogs by $1 million. So we've got that out there.
Naturally, because he went to Arkansas.
Yes. But someone posed this question yesterday and reminded me, just Lauren, as you're saying that, you're listing all of the college baseball games that are going on. Obviously, March Madness is going on. We still have the NBA. Ovi's 7 goals away from passing Gretzky's record, which is not talked about nearly enough. This guy's in his 20th season in the NHL. But someone posed a question yesterday, and I saw it on Twitter, of what is the best one day of sports?
Of the calendar year.
Yeah, of the calendar year. So obviously they put the Super Bowl Sunday, they put the first Thursday of March Madness, they put the World, I think it said a Game 7 World Series or something, Game 6-7 World Series. But there was a bunch of different ones. It was the NBA final, the Game 6-7 of the NBA final. And I feel like you can make arguments for each. And I always go back to, when we talk about our favorite time of the year, I always go back to October, just because I feel like October, everything is happening that I love. And I was thinking about this last year when we had that sport, that we had the one day where it was the sports equinox or whatever. Yep. And it was all 4 major sports. There was 11 NBA games, 8 NHL games. We had a Monday night football game. It was Game 3 of the World Series. If that could be promised to happen every October, I feel like that would be the day to pick. But that's not a promise, because that day has to fall on a Monday night when there would be a Monday night football. But we also now are getting we're getting Saturday night NFL games and Mondays and Thursdays. And so you are getting a little bit more chances to have that NFL game. But it is a cool question. I know a lot of people, the comments, everybody, it was so many different, and some that they didn't even name on this graphic.
All right, let's head from Blanding to County Road 220 and say hello to XL Primetime.
Now, the 2-minute drill. Serviced by Cool Cats Heating and Cooling. Locally owned and operated. We're your neighbors. CoolCatsJacks.com.
The coolest cats in town.
Well, Leon, everyone's going to ask about your bracket. I don't really care about that. I just want to know, what are you going to order from Barley and Pie?
Well, listen, I've already started with the loaded tots.
Ooh,
and
yeah.
I've got the Sarah bites. Yes, I had to start there. Everything here is great, amazing. I've been here before. This is the hot spot for Hurricane football. I hosted a watch party here last year when Miami played Louisville. So this is right by island. And my bracket, I started 0-3 right now, but the rest of this, I went 12-1. So I'm 12-4 from yesterday.
Oh, wow. Okay, Leon, let's go.
Yes, I was 0-3.
Good...
I started.
He does want to talk about his bracket.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I'm proud of myself.
As well you should be. Leon, as far as this Alabama game, I feel like Robert Morris is actually surprisingly hanging in there.
Are they? Really? Listen, those teams like that, Robert Morris, they're playing with house money. The closer they keep the game, the more pressure's on Alabama. So power to them. They keep the game close to see if they unravel, then maybe you can steal one.
Yeah, I had a real hit to the bracket because I had Clemson going to the Sweet 16, so certainly that fell apart yesterday. But like I told the ladies, nobody cares about my bracket. The only brackets anybody cares about are about their own.
One football note that I know you guys will be diving into on XL Primetime, Leon. Mason Graham at the Michigan Pro Day weighed in at 306. That is up from his 296-pound weigh-in at the Combine. As our friend from PFF, Dalton Wasserman, just tweeted out, he should not get past Jacksonville at 5. What say you?
No, he shouldn't. I like the kid. I mean, I like the fact that he's disruptive, not only on the run, but the pass. And he's up 10 pounds. He's 306 now?
306.
Okay, so that could be muscle weight. That could be muscle mass. I like the fact that the kid is a former wrestler. So he understands leverage, hands, how to get off blocks and all that kind of stuff. So, yeah, absolutely. I don't see him going past Jacksonville in 5.
I like that. All right, what's coming up, Leon?
Well, we've got, of course, we got basketball, brackets. We got some NFL talk and some college talk. So we got a full slate today.
All right, sounds good. We'll be listening. Thank you.
All righty.
All right, there he goes, Leon Cersei and the gang at Barley and Pie again, County Road 220. Frangie Show will be at String Sports Brewery in Jacks Beach. Say hello to them. And then Baloo and Hacker will both be at Top Dog Tavern later tonight on Old St. Augustine Road. So tons of madness, tons of fun. We really appreciate our friends here at Big Dog Family Sports Restaurant here on Blanding Boulevard. They have been amazing, and we certainly appreciate them. For Mia O'Brien, for Taylor Dahl, for RJ Saunders, I'm Lauren Brooks. These heels are made for talking. We will talk to you on Monday.
And you